Well, now, I have no clue how. Okay, well, I'm just going to read this in full since apparently we can't do that. Let's see. Oh, well, hello, Liz. Can you hear me? I don't even know. Listen, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I don't even know if my mic is working. Let me know if you guys can hear me because I can't tell. I try to use Stream. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, someone can hear me. I try to use StreamYard, but I do not know how to use StreamYard at all. And it was telling me to charge me. So I'm not paying $80 or whatever it was, but we're going to go ahead and we'll just read this whole thing in full. So this was Hussy's filing against Azria. So we're going to go ahead and start with that one. And I'll start from the top and I'll try to get through it pretty quickly. Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of New York. We're going to skip the summons part and we'll get right into the actual complaint. Blah, 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 blah. Nature of the action. This is an action to recover damages for a malicious, coordinated, and dangerous campaign of defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and prima facie tort orchestrated by the defendant against plaintiff. Specifically, this action arises from defendant's active participation in a cross-border cyber harassment network that purposely targets a New York resident and his New York-based business. While operating from Canada, defendant has intentionally directed her tortious conduct at New York to cause severe financial and reputational harm to the plaintiff within the county. On July 14th of 2023, the plaintiff was subjected to a life-threatening swatting incident documented in NYPD complaint report, blah, blah, blah. Defendant acting with malice and intent to harm publicly mocked this violent emergency, laughing at the risk to plaintiff's life, and utilized the event to further terrorize the plaintiff, thereby ratifying and encouraging the extreme conduct. This complaint specifically seeks damages for the distinct and separate injuries caused by defendant's individual acts, most notably the severe psychological trauma, reputational damage, and specific economic loss, resulting directly from her unique and escalating false accusations of human trafficking, rape, and drugging, as well as her explicit support of the swatting incident. Furthermore, defendant has engaged in a pattern of tortious activity designed to destroy plaintiff's livelihood. This pattern includes targeted interference with plaintiff's business expectancies, the fabrication of false evidence to maliciously terminate plaintiff's income streams, and the harassment of plaintiff's New York legal counsel to impede plaintiff's pursuit of justice. Plaintiff seeks relief pursuant to New York State common and statutory law, including, but not limited to, compensatory and punitive damages, expenses, and reasonable attorney's fees based on claims for defamation, defamation per se, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and prima facie tort. Parties. Um, okay, just tells you where they're from. And now jurisdiction and venue. The jurisdiction and venue are proper in New York County because this court possesses general subject matter jurisdiction and exercises personal jurisdiction over the non-domiciliary. I have to look that one up. Defendant pursuant to this long code. First, under this code, defendant's contacts with New York are not based merely on plaintiff's residence, but on defendant's own suit related conduct expressly aimed at this forum. Specifically, defendant utilized interactive commercial platforms, GoFundMe, to launch a fundraising campaign expressly titled Help Azria Break Kenneth. purposefully soliciting funds to finance her harassment of a New York business. Explicitly targeted plaintiffs' lawful activities in New York to frame them as crimes, broadcasting false statements to a global audience that plaintiff illegally films in New York bars without a license, and directly harassed and disparaged plaintiff's New York based legal counsel, utilizing interstate communications to actively impede a New York resident's access to courts. Plaintiff's causes of actions including defamation, arise directly from these New York directed transactions. Second, under this code, defendant committed intentional, I don't know why I said that, tortious acts without the state causing severe injury to person and property within the state. Defendant expressly aimed her conduct at New York, expected her acts to have consequences in this state, and derive substantial revenue from international commerce via her monetized media platforms. Additionally, the venue is proper pursuant to this code because plaintiff resides in New York County. So now we get into the nitty gritty, the statement of facts. Plaintiff is a digital content creator on social media and streaming platforms such as Twitter X, Twitch, and YouTube. Plaintiff uses his digital audiences to make comedy sketches, videos, and live streams for which he receives monetary donations, paid subscriptions, and super chats from his fans and digital admirers. Plaintiff's business property consists of his standing on streaming platforms and his ability to generate revenue through live broadcasts. The defendant has engaged in a distinct malicious and ongoing campaign specifically designed to destroy plaintiff's reputation, severely impact his mental health, and sever his revenue streams through false accusations of heinous felonies. You want Yotto here for the I I'm not using StreamYard, so I couldn't add Yotto if I wanted to because I don't know how to do it. I'm using the YouTube live stream directly, so I don't think I can add people. Defendant's defamatory campaign escalated to imputing specific verifiable and criminal acts to plaintiff. Unlike general reputational harm, the defendant has targeted the technical infrastructure and viability of plaintiff's business by systematically labeling the plaintiff a human trafficker and rapist on the very platforms where he operates. Defendant intends to trigger terms of service violations to result in the permanent suspension, quote unquote, deplatforming of plaintiff's channels and the severing of his revenue streams. And remember, technically, he is already ban evading, so he shouldn't even be on the platform anyway. On December 22nd of 2025, defendant broadcasted a video to a global audience on YouTube explicitly labeling plaintiff a groomer, a rapist, and a human trafficker. In this same video, defendant falsely stated that plaintiff engages in illegal activities in New York, claiming it's illegal to film in New York bars without a filming license. He's recording without permission. Furthermore, defendant explicitly accused plaintiff of drugging individuals, stating, "That man was drugged. That is not drunk, that is drugged." And concluded the broadcast by declaring, "Hussy's a goddamn sex trafficker, predatory, evil piece of shit." A true and accurate copy of this video broadcast is attached here too as Exhibit A. Furthering this campaign, on December 29th of 2025, defendant published another video broadcast falsely accusing plaintiff of sex trafficking and exploiting individuals for financial gain. Defendant stated, "He's getting money through memberships to record people against their will." That's where the there you go trafficking. Okay, that's where the there you go. That was not written well. Because they were using it as something sexual. He was profiting off of them. A true and accurate copy of this video broadcast is attached here too as Exhibit B. On or about November 28th of 2025, defendant published written posts publicly targeting plaintiff's fundraising infrastructure and professional integrity, explicitly stating, "You are a scammer." True and accurate copies of these publications are attached here too as Exhibit C. Plaintiff has never been arrested, charged, or prosecuted for sex trafficking, rape, drugging individuals, or financial fraud in any jurisdiction. Defendant's statements are demonstrably false and constitute defamation per se. Defendant's malice and extreme, outrageous conduct extended beyond defamation into the infliction of severe emotional distress. On July 14th of 2023, plaintiff was the victim of a life-threatening swatting incident at his New York residence, wherein armed NYP officers were falsely dispatched to his home. This act is documented in NYPD Complaint Report 2023 007 003 476, a copy of which is attached here too as Exhibit D. Rather than condemning this act of terror, defendant publicly celebrated and mocked the use of swatting as a weapon. During a video broadcast, defendant highlighted a written comment laughing at another victim of his crime, stating, LMAO, Carrie, who swatted you. LMAO. By reveling in this life threatening tactic, defendant intentionally inflicted further psychological trauma upon the plaintiff, who had recently survived a similar attack. The broadcast also captures defendant verbally attacking plaintiff's legal counsel. A true and accurate copy of this video is attached here too as Exhibit E. Notice they don't say the nature of this attacking of the legal counsel. They don't say what it is. Defendant's actions are motivated solely by disinterested malevolence. On November 15th of 2025, defendant launched a fundraising campaign on the commercial platform GoFundMe, explicitly titled, Help Azria Break Kenneth, in all caps. A true and accurate copy of this campaign is attached here too as Exhibit F. The GoFundMe campaign serves as irrefutable evidence of defendant's intent to inflict harm without any legitimate social or economic justification. In the campaign description, defendant explicitly solicited funds to purchase illegal narcotics to fuel her harassment, stating, "Need more blow? I can go for a month straight in Primo. Join the good fight by keeping me high on life," all in caps. Defendant further admitted, "My name is Azria and I'm toxic as fuck. These type of people should be distressed." In a concerted effort to obstruct justice and impede plaintiff from exercising his legal rights in New York, defendants specifically target plaintiff's New York legal counsel, utilizing the same GoFundMe campaign under the racist username Azria the Amazon Drain These Niggas. Defendant wrote, "End Maxwell's vexatious and frivolous plight. Also, get a pic for his bad afro." Defendant, sorry. Defendant continued to harass plaintiff's counsel by publishing posts threatening countersuits, labeling counsel a grifter, and baselessly citing Law Society of Ontario regulations to intimidate plaintiff's legal representation. I'm sure you were not intimidated, Maxwell. True and accurate copies of these posts are attached here too as Exhibit G. I'm sorry, also get a pic for his bad afro. I can't. um, okay, let me get it together here. As a direct and proximate result of defendant's extreme, outrageous, and defamatory conduct, plaintiff has suffered quantifiable financial loss, including the loss of paid memberships and streaming revenue. Furthermore, psychological effects caused by defendant are profound. Plaintiff suffers from severe anxiety and depression exacerbated by defendant's celebration of the swatting incident. You got to be kidding me. Plaintiff is regularly attending therapy sessions. We know that that's bullshit. To cope with the emotional distress, panic attacks, and fear directly caused by defendant's actions. Next portion is as and for a first cause of action for defamation and defamation per se. So this details the defamation per se. Plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation set forth above and below as if fully set forth herein. Defendant publish specific verifiable false statements of fact concerning plaintiff to the public at large via commercial internet platforms. As detailed in the statement of facts, defendant published video broadcasts explicitly and falsely labeling plaintiff a groomer, a rapist, a human trafficker, and falsely accusing plaintiff of drugging individuals. Falsely accused plaintiff of sex trafficking for financial profit, and repeatedly published posts asserting plaintiff is a scammer. These statements constitute defamation per se under New York law because they specifically impute to the plaintiff the commission of serious crimes, namely sexual assault, human trafficking, and larceny. And they are designed to injure plaintiff in his trade, business, or profession by triggering platform suspensions. The statements are demonstrably false. Plaintiff is not a sex offender and has never been investigated for human trafficking or rape and has never drugged individuals. Defendant plaintiff published these statements with actual malice, knowing that they were false, or acting with reckless disregard for their truth as part of the calculated campaign to destroy plaintiff's livelihood. As a direct and proximate result of the defendant's publication of these falsehoods, plaintiff has suffered special damages, including the specific loss of paid subscribers and streaming revenue. We know that that's bullshit. Additionally, plaintiff has suffered severe reputational harm, humiliation, and emotional distress. By reason of the foregoing, plaintiff has sustained actual, general, and special damages currently estimated in the amount of not less than $50,000, exclusive of punitive damages, costs, and attorney's fees. Next section. As and for a second cause of action for intentional infliction of emotional distress, plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation set forth above and below as in fully set forth herein. Defendant's conduct was extreme, outrageous, and utterly intolerable in a civilized community. It was not a mere insult or trivial annoyance, but a calculated campaign of terror designed to destroy plaintiff's peace of mind and exploit his physical endangerment. Defendant's extreme and outrageous conduct is irrefutably evidenced by her weaponization and celebration of swatting, a life threatening event involving the false report of a violent emergency to provoke an armed police response, which plaintiff himself suffered on July 14th of 2023. Asri wasn't even around for that. Like, I don't even think she was covering Hussy at that point. Rather than condemning this violence, defendant publicly mocked it by broadcasting a written comment laughing at another victim of a police raid. LMAO, Carrie, who swatted you? LMAO. Defendant intentionally amplified plaintiff's trauma, signaling that she finds the physical endangerment of her targets to be a source of amusement. I mean, it's not against the law. And there's, I don't know what this does. Anyway, defendant's intent to cause severe distress is not a matter of interference, but of public confession. Defendant created a fundraising vehicle specifically tailored to break Kenneth, soliciting funds from the public to finance a campaign of terror designed to psychologically destroy the plaintiff. Defendant acted with the specific intent to cause severe emotional distress or with reckless disregard of the substantial probability of causing such distress. Defendant explicitly acknowledged her intent to cause trauma, publicly admitting on her fundraising campaign, "I'm toxic as fuck. These type of people should be distressed." To facilitate this harassment, defendant engaged in a campaign to label plaintiff as a sex trafficker and rapist. This goes beyond defamation. It is conduct calculated to incite public hatred and potential vigilante violence against the plaintiff, placing him in constant fear of his physical safety. Defendant knew or should have known that falsely labeling plaintiff a human trafficker and celebrating police raids on his home would cause traumatic psychological injury. Yes, Hussy looks very, very injured, right? As a direct and proximate result of defendant's conduct, plaintiff has suffered severe emotional distress that is medically documented and of such a nature that no reasonable person could be expected to endure it, necessitating ongoing medical therapy for anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. Plaintiff's injuries include A, post-traumatic stress, persistent fear for his life and safety, and the inability to feel secure in his home following the police raid and defendant's subsequent mockery of it. B, professional impairment, the inability to work effectively as an online creator. I don't think he's ever been able to do that due to the constant anxiety and that any live stream could trigger another attack or false criminal accusation. Listen, we know that's bullshit because Hussy will stream 3 times a day. C, medical necessity, the need for ongoing therapy and medical treatment to cope with anxiety, depression, panic attacks, and nightmares directly resulting from defendant's campaign. There is a direct causal connection between defendant's wrongful conduct and the severe emotional distress suffered by plaintiff. Absent defendant's unlawful acts, plaintiff would not have incurred these severe psychological injuries. By reason of the foregoing, plaintiff has sustained actual general and special damages, currently estimated in the amount of not less than $50,000, exclusive of punitive damages, costs, and attorney's fees. Next section. As and for a third cause of action for prima facie tort, plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation set forth above and below as if fully set forth herein. The defendant's conduct was motivated solely by disinterest malevolence, a malicious intent to injure the plaintiff without any valid social, economic, or legal justification. Defendant's malevolence is explicit and documented. She launched a commercial fundraising campaign titled Help Azria Break Kenneth, Exhibit F, wherein she solicited funds to purchase illegal narcotics, Need More Blow, to fuel her ongoing harassment of plaintiff. In furtherance of this malicious scheme, defendant engaged in a coordinated effort to obstruct justice by harassing plaintiff's New York legal counsel. Okay, this is where Maxwell adds himself in. Employing racial slurs, drain these niggas, racially offensive comments regarding counsel's appearance, bad afro, baseless legal threats. I'm sorry, that's never going to get old for me. Baseless legal threats and publishing defamatory statements to intimidate plaintiff into abandoning his legal rights. Defendant's actions were designed to trigger algorithmic deplatforming and sever plaintiff's income streams. Furthermore, defendant engaged in the malicious distortion of neutral, lawful acts to fabricate a criminal profile. In her broadcast, defendant obsessed over minute details such as plaintiff wearing sunglasses or scanning the room, and twisted these mundane actions into proof of predatory grooming tactics, stating, he's calculative. I can list multiple ways he's a predator. This demonstrates a conscious effort to manufacture criminality where none exists. These statements contained no news value and were not matters of legitimate public concern. Their sole purpose was to ridicule plaintiff, destroy his professional credibility, and deprive him of legal representation by labeling his counsel a grifter. Defendant's sole motivation was to inflict harm upon plaintiff without any excuse or justification. Defendant engaged in a series of acts, even if arguably lawful in isolation, were done as part of a coordinated scheme to destroy plaintiff's livelihood. The fact that defendant continued this campaign, even knowing of the police raids and publicly mocked victims of swatting, see Exhibit E, demonstrates a relentless desire to harm that transcends mere negligence or rivalry. As a direct result of this malicious scheme, plaintiff has suffered specific quantifiable financial loss, including the loss of paid memberships and streaming revenue. By reason of the foregoing, plaintiff has sustained actual general and special damages currently estimated in the amount of not less than $50,000, exclusive of punitive damages, costs, and attorney's fees. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiff demands judgment against defendant as follows. Compensatory damages in the amount to be determined at trial, but not less than $50,000. Punitive damages in an amount to be determined at trial to punish defendant's willful and malicious conduct. Issuing a preliminary and permanent injunction compelling the defendant, her agents, and all persons acting in concert with her to immediately cease and desist all further harassing and threatening communications directed at the plaintiff and his legal counsel, specifically any conduct that falsely accuses plaintiff of criminal acts such as human trafficking, rape, and grooming. Immediately remove and permanently delete all video broadcasts and posts containing false allegations of human trafficking, rape, drugging, and financial fraud. Immediately terminate and permanently remove the fundraising campaign hosted on GoFundMe titled Help Azria Break Kenneth, which solicits funds for illegal narcotics and promotes hate speech against plaintiff and his counsel, and permanently cease. You know what? Oh, the hold up, the GoFundMe thing. Why the fuck isn't the GoFundMe just? Why doesn't anyone just report it? It's like GoFundMe doesn't even allow that, so it should have just been reported. Um, and then to permanently cease and desist from publicly disclosing, publishing, or distributing any private information concerning the plaintiff, including his residence address, phone number, or personal health details, aka doxing. They also request attorney's fees and costs associated with this action, and also such other and further relief as this court deems just and proper. Dated April 7th of 2026. Respectfully submitted, Maxwell and Viviani, PLLC, by Robert Maxwell. And then it gives you the verification and the e-signatures. So that's that. Well, I just wanted to get through the Azria one. I could reread the tragic one, but we pretty much read pretty much all of that on Fresh Garbages if you guys want to go back to that. But you are welcome, Lizbeth. Yeah, I wanted to go through it, and I figured since I'm reading it anyway, I might as well just read it out for everybody else. Did you want me to reread the tragic one? I'll wait for someone to let me know. Yes? Okay, I can reread it. That kind of makes sense. And then, guys, if you wanted it, you had it. You have it here. All right. Supreme Court of the State of New York, County of New York. We will skip down to the nature of the action. This is an action to recover damages for a malicious, coordinated, and dangerous campaign of harassment. Okay, Lizbeth, good night. This is an action to recover damages for a malicious, coordinated, and dangerous campaign of harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, racketeering, extortion, and defamation orchestrated by the defendant against the plaintiff. Specifically, this action arises from defendant's commission of a tortious act commonly known as swatting, directed at the plaintiff within the County of New York. On July 14th of 2023, defendant acting with malice and intent to harm knowingly made a false report of a violent emergency to law enforcement, causing the New York Police Department, NYPD, throughout, to dispatch armed forces to raid plaintiff's residence in Manhattan, an incident documented in NYPD Complaint Report 2023-007-003-476. While defendant has engaged in a broader pattern of online defamation, some of which involve third parties previously sued by plaintiff, this complaint specifically seeks damages for the distinct and separate injuries caused by defendant's individual acts. Most notably, the severe psychological trauma, reputational damage, and specific economic loss resulting directly from the swatting incident and the false accusations of criminal sexual misconduct fabricated solely by defendant. Moreover, defendant is a ringleader of an online enterprise known as the Bodega. Acting in concert with others, defendant has engaged in a pattern of criminal activity designed to destroy plaintiff's livelihood and personal safety. This pattern includes swatting, filing false police reports to induce armed raids, targeted interference with plaintiff's business expectancies, and the fabrication of false evidence to maliciously terminate plaintiff's income streams. Plaintiff seeks relief pursuant to New York State common and statutory law, including, but not limited to, compensatory and punitive damages, expenses, and reasonable attorney's fees based on claims for defamation, defamation per se, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and prima facie tort. The parties. I'm going to skip this part. This just names all the parties involved. Jurisdiction and venue. Jurisdiction and venue are proper in New York County because the court possesses general subject matter jurisdiction in it and exercises personal jurisdiction over the non domiciliary defendant pursuant to this code. First, under this code, defendant engaged in purposeful activities directed at New York State. Rather than engaging in mere passive internet speech, defendant specifically targeted a New York resident, tagged New York institutions, the NYPD 7th Precinct, to prompt official action within the state, and coordinated real time interference with plaintiff's business expectancy at a physical New York location, Empire City Casino in Yonkers, New York. Plaintiffs' causes of action include defamation, arise directly from these New York directed transactions. Second, under this code, defendant committed tortious acts outside the state, specifically initiating false police emergency reports, swatting, from Arizona that caused severe physical and emotional injury to plaintiff within New York. Defendant expressly aimed his intentional torts at New York and reasonably expected his acts to have consequences in the state by deliberately weaponizing the New York Police Department against a New York resident. Additionally, venue is proper pursuant to the code because plaintiff resides in New York County. Statement of facts. Plaintiff is a digital content creator on social media and streaming platforms such as Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. This time they did not put Twitter X. That's interesting. Plaintiff uses his digital audiences to make comedy sketches, videos, and live streams for which he receives monetary donations, paid subscriptions, and super chats from his fans and digital admirers. Plaintiff business property consists of his standing on streaming platforms and his ability to generate revenue through live broadcasts. While plaintiff has litigated prior instances of while plaintiff has litigated prior instances of defamation causing past follower loss, defendant has engaged in a distinct and subsequent campaign specifically designed to deplatform plaintiff and sever his remaining revenue streams. Unlike general reputational harm, the defendant has targeted the technical infrastructure of plaintiff's business. On January 10th of 2024, defendant publicly boasted, "Say goodbye to your Twitch, Hussy," while displaying proof of a false report filed with the platform. These fraudulent reports were calculated to trigger algorithmic suspensions, thereby freezing plaintiff's assets and income access, a distinct injury from mere follower attrition. Defendant operates as a central figure in a loose association or enterprise known as the Bodega. While defendant publicly characterizes this group as an anti-bullying group, evidence shows it functions as a coordinated network dedicated to the harassment, stalking, and defamation of targeted individuals. This enterprise operates across state and international lines. Associates of the defendant, such as the individual known as Hakate's daughter, actively coordinate with defendant to harass plaintiff. On July 14th of 2023, defendant engaged in a swatting incident against plaintiff as confirmed by NYPD Complaint Report 2023 007 003 476. Defendant identified by law enforcement as Tragic's real name committed aggravated harassment in the second degree. A true and accurate copy of this report is attached here too as Exhibit F. The police report confirms the defendant threatened plaintiff via phone and on online messages with the intent to annoy and harass while plaintiff was streaming online video, directly interfering with plaintiff's business activity. How does online messages interfere with streaming? Okay, they're going to have to explain that one in court. This act of swatting was a direct result of the defendant's intentional and reckless campaign of harassment, causing the plaintiff extreme emotional distress and placing him in physical danger of confrontation with armed law enforcement. Furthermore, defendant has intentionally interfered with specific revenue generating events. On or about October 23, while plaintiff was conducting a paid live stream at Empire City Casino in Yonkers, New York, Defendant and his associates coordinated a real time attack to have plaintiff ejected from the premises. Video evidence captures defendant's enterprise explicitly stating, "We can tweet at the casino," and suggesting they report plaintiff for stealing money from a purse, a baseless accusation intended to cause plaintiff's ejection and potential arrest. A copy of this video broadcast is attached here too as Exhibit E. This conduct directly disrupted a specific business expectancy and resulted in quantifiable lost income for that specific broadcast, separate and apart from any damages attributed to prior defendants. That's a nod to AK there. Defendant engaged in a malicious campaign of defamation per se, publishing verifiable false statements of fact accusing plaintiff of heinous crimes to a global internet audience. Specifically on or about February 2nd of 2023, defendant published and broadcasted a fabricated wanted poster to his audience on YouTube and Twitter X designed to look like an official law enforcement document. This forged poster features plaintiff's photograph and falsely labels him a registered sex offender who was convicted on 11/26 of 2022 of sexual harassment. A true and accurate copy of this forged poster broadcast is attached here too as Exhibit A. Furthermore, defendant fabricated and published fraudulent Twitter direct messages purporting to show plaintiff confessing to larceny and draining a marital bank account. Defendant broadcasted these fake messages dated April 11th to his audience to falsely frame plaintiff for financial crimes. A true and accurate copy of these fabricated DMs is attached here too as Exhibit B. Defendant's defamatory campaign escalated to imputing specific heinous predatory behavior. On a YouTube broadcast on the channel Hot Discord Rejects titled The Sun Tuesday's Tea 2.0 XIV, which I think is Roman numerals for 14, defendant explicitly stated to a live audience, "Hey Hussy, have you made out with any unconscious people lately? You find any people that look extremely underage and roofie them and make out with them lately?" A copy of this broadcast is attached here too as Exhibit C. On January 24th of 2024, defendant utilized Twitter X to publicly tag the NYPD 7th Precinct, falsely reporting plaintiff as a criminal. Defendant wrote, "He is currently on YouTube slandering me. He has been stalking me for years now. He is dangerous and out of control on drugs." Excuse me 1 minute. I need a sip of water. Okay, sorry about that. Started having a little bit of a coughing fit. We're at the part where um, Tragic was exclaiming, he is dangerous and out of control on drugs." A true and accurate copy of this publication is attached here too as Exhibit D. Plaintiff, plaintiff has no such convictions, made no such confessions, and engages in no such behavior. These fabrications are demonstrably false and were published with actual malice. Defendant publicly broadcast his intent to cause distress, stating in video recordings that he and his associates are obsessed with plaintiff and stalk every move he makes. I wonder, do they actually say that? Defendant has doxed plaintiff by broadcasting his home address and personal health details to a hostile online audience. Defendant made each of these defamatory allegations and engaged in the criminal act of swatting without privilege or another legal basis to do so. Plaintiff has never been arrested or prosecuted for any of the criminal activities defendant claims, nor is he a registered sex offender in any of the 50 U.S. states. The psychological effects caused by defendant on Hussy are clear and manifest. He feels that his career is being hugely impacted by defendant's malicious and irresponsible public accusations and criminal actions. Any daily events that remind him of these past series of defamatory statements and the physical danger of the swatting incident cause him to be anxious and depressed. He doesn't seem all that anxious and depressed, I'll be honest with you. He is having a hard time when trying to go live or being on social media, as he is still dealing with the emotional aftermath of the defendant's misconduct. Again, this is all bullshit. Plaintiff is attending therapy sessions regularly. We know that that's false. Due to the severe emotional distress, anxiety, depression, and fear caused by the defendant's extreme and outrageous conduct. Next portion. Uh, as and for a first cause of action for defamation per se, plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation set forth above and below as if fully set forth herein. Defendant published specific verifiable false statements of fact concerning plaintiff to the public at large via social media platforms, including YouTube and Twitter X. As detailed in paragraphs 26 and 29, defendant published a forged sex offender registry poster, Exhibit A, fabricated DMs accusing plaintiff of larceny, Exhibit B, explicitly accused plaintiff of drugging, roofing, and assaulting unconscious, incapacitated, and or underage individuals, Exhibit C, and falsely reported plaintiff to the NYPD as dangerous and out of control on drugs, Exhibit D. These statements constitute defamation per se under New York law because they specifically impute to the plaintiff the commission of serious crimes, namely sexual offenses, rape, larceny, and illegal drug use, and they tend to injure plaintiff in his trade, business, or profession as a digital content creator who relies on public trust and donations. Labeling plaintiff a scammer and con artist directly attacks his professional integrity and ability to earn a livelihood. The statements are demonstrably false. Plaintiff is not a registered sex offender in any jurisdiction, has never been convicted of sexual assault, and has never been charged with theft or drug offenses. How dare me? He's scared for his life. Defendant publishes these statements with actual malice, knowing that they were false or acting with reckless disregard for their truth. Defendant's malice is irrefutably evidenced by his own distinct premeditated acts of fabrication. The forged wanted poster, which is Exhibit A, defendant explicitly created a fake sex offender registry document proving that he knew no such registry existed and deliberately manufactured evidence to support his lie. The fabricated DMs, Exhibit B, where defendant created fake direct messages falsely portraying plaintiff as confessing to crimes, draining a bank account, demonstrating a calculated malicious intent to frame the plaintiff. The defamatory police tagging, Exhibit D, defendant publicly tweeted at the NYPD falsely labeling plaintiff as dangerous and out of control on drugs, proving an intent to destroy plaintiff's reputation and incite law enforcement against him. As a direct and proximate result of defendant's publications of these falsehoods, plaintiff has suffered special damages, including the specific loss of paid subscribers and streaming revenue referenced in the statement of facts. Additionally, plaintiff has suffered severe reputational harm, humiliation, and emotional distress. By reason of the foregoing, plaintiff has sustained actual, general, and special damages currently estimated in the amount of not less than $50,000, exclusive of punitive damages, costs, and attorney's fees. Next section. As and for a second cause of action for intentional infliction of emotional distress, plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation set forth above and below as if fully set forth herein. Defendant's conduct was extreme, outrageous, and utterly intolerable in a civilized community. It was not a mere insult or trivial annoyance, but a calculated campaign of terror designed to destroy plaintiff's peace of mind and place his physical safety in jeopardy. Defendant's most egregious act was the threat and effectuation of swatting, the false reporting of a violent emergency to provoke an armed police response. This act inherently satisfies the extreme and outrageous element as it weaponizes law enforcement against an innocent victim. The conduct was premeditated. As evidenced by defendant's own public posts, he explicitly threatened, "Hey, Hussy, it's going to suck when one of these days you will be screaming shit into the camera and the SWAT team busts down your door." The execution of this threat on July 14th of 2023 resulted in the dispatch of NYPD officers to plaintiff's home, forcing plaintiff to face an armed police under the false belief that he was a violent threat, creating a high probability of physical injury or death. To facilitate this harassment, defendant engaged in doxing by publicly broadcasting plaintiff's private home address and sensitive personal details, including his association with a home health care facility, to a hostile online audience. This disclosure was malicious and calculated to ridicule plaintiff's personal circumstances and enable physical stalking. Defendant acted with the specific intent to cause severe emotional distress or with reckless disregard for the substantial probability of causing such distress. Defendant knew or should have known that falsely labeling plaintiff a sex offender and sending armed police to his home would cause traumatic physical injury or psychological injury, excuse me. As a direct and proximate result of defendant's conduct, plaintiff has suffered severe emotional distress that is medically documented and of such a nature that no reasonable person could be expected to endure it. Plaintiff's injuries include A. Post traumatic stress, persistent fear for his life and safety, and the inability to feel secure in his own home following the police raid. B. Professional impairment, the inability to work effectively as an online content creator due to the constant anxiety that any live stream could trigger another attack. C. Medical necessity, the need for ongoing therapy and medical treatment to cope with anxiety, depression, panic attacks, and nightmares directly resulting from defendant's campaign. There is a direct causal connection between defendant's wrongful conduct and the severe emotional distress suffered by plaintiff. Absent defendant's unlawful acts, plaintiff would not have incurred these severe psychological injuries. By reason of the foregoing, plaintiff has sustained actual, general, and special damages currently estimated in the amount of not less than $50,000, exclusive of punitive damages, costs, and attorney's fees. Next section, as and for third cause of action for prima facie tort. Plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation set forth above and below as if fully set forth herein. The defendant's conduct was motivated solely by disinterested malevolence, that is, a malicious intent to injure the plaintiff without any valid social, economic, or legal justification. The defendant's malevolence is explicit and documented. As stated in the defendant's own public post, his goal was to stalk every move plaintiff makes and to have the plaintiff's business channels terminated. For example, say goodbye to your Twitch, Hussy. There was no legitimate public interest in defendant's actions. Specifically, defendant publicized plaintiff's association with the home health care facility. This disclosure had no news value and was not a matter of public concern. Its sole purpose was to ridicule plaintiff's personal circumstances, undermine his professional credibility, and inflict emotional harm. Listen, that is not illegal. It's just funny that they're including this in here because, listen, people can talk shit about whatever they want. There was nothing here. So what if you're associated with a home health care facility? Anyway, defendant's sole motivation was to inflict harm upon plaintiff without any excuse or justification. Defendant engaged in a series of acts, such as fabricating direct messages, forging law enforcement documents, and weaponizing police resources, which, even if any single act was arguably lawful in isolation, were done as part of a coordinated scheme to destroy plaintiff's livelihood. As a direct result of this malicious scheme, plaintiff has suffered specific quantifiable financial loss, including the loss of paid memberships and streaming revenue. By reason of the foregoing, plaintiff has sustained actual, general, and special damages currently estimated in the amount of not less than $50,000, exclusive of punitive damages, costs, and attorney's fees. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiff demands judgment against defendant as follows: compensatory damages in the amount to be determined at trial, but not less than $50,000. Punitive damages in the amount to be determined at trial to punish defendant's willful and malicious conduct. Issuing a preliminary and permanent injunction, compelling the defendant, his agents, and all persons acting in concert with him to immediately cease and desist all further harassing and threatening communications directed at the plaintiff, specifically any conduct that encourages or facilitates swatting, or physical harm. Immediately remove or permanently delete all fabricated content, including the forged sex offender poster, fabricated direct messages, and the specific videos displaying plaintiff's private information, and permanently cease and desist from publicly disclosing, publishing, or distributing any private information concerning the plaintiff, including his residence address, phone number, or personal health details, doxing. Also, excuse me. Also, they demand attorney's fees and costs associated with this action and any such other further relief as this court deems just and proper. Dated April 7th of 2026, respectfully submitted Maxwell and Viviani by Robert Maxwell. And then it goes on, it gives us just the verification of the plaintiff. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all of it. That is, did he file this before or after he called on AJ? You know what? I can't remember. Let's see. This was filed 10 days ago. When did he make the calls to AJ? I feel like that was before that. I feel like he made those calls to AJ's husband before. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was all I was here for, was just to read that. And if I do this again, I'll try and figure out how to do this through StreamYard so I can get Yato up here. Now, how do I end this? Okay, end stream. All right. Good night. You're welcome for reading all that. Good night.